Some show up at Keeneland just to be beautiful, some for the burgoo. Me, it's because the best handicapping challenge on God's green earth is right here in Kentucky. Star horses come from Florida, California, and New York, Arkansas, and Louisiana, all to what undoubtedly is the greatest horse racing melting pot in America.
Into the stretch at Keeneland, and Flight Line just moves right by. Life is good.
Win here and you've done something. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's Keeneland. Now, let's get handicapping. And welcome in on a Wednesday night, everybody. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now with the Keeneland look ahead for the Thursday, April 20th card, as week number 3 is now in high gear. And if you thought things were going to quiet down here at Keeneland over the final 2 weeks of the meet, well, the handicapping gods say not so fast. We've got a huge 2-day carryover in the pick 6 going into the Thursday card that adds a little juice to a card that really, when I handicapped it yesterday, I thought this may be the toughest card of the 9 days that we've seen so far this meet. And if you've been following my picks, you know I've had a hard time of it. I had a really good year last year, 22 in both meets, but I am struggle city right now, and I need to hit this pick 6 maybe to get even for the meet, all kidding aside. $226,154 in the pick 6 carryover for Thursday's card. Look, if you can't pick one, you can't pick 6, right? I mean, it all starts with getting that next winner and getting a little bit of momentum going. If you watch the races today, the big reason for the pick 6 carryover was that $113 winner in race number 6 on the turf. And it was a horse that was promoted from a disqualification. Flavian Pratt came over and dropped Tyler Gaffleone mid-stretch. The good news is Tyler just a little busted up lip, according to reports from his agent in the racing press. So that's good to see. He's back. Everything's fine with Tyler. Just roughed up a little bit. So it was a bad situation. The horse had to be put down on the track, and you never like to see that. And it's not what we want in this game, but it is part of the reality and the report on that, the unfortunate incident today. The good thing for Tyler Gaffleone, at least, is that he will ride another day, and he will ride tomorrow at Keeneland as expected. So we're looking forward to seeing him back in the saddle. He had 2 wins on the card, had a good day otherwise. Luis Saez also had 2 wins today. So a good day for those 2 riders. Now, you had the $113 winner on the turf. I went back in the database. That is the highest priced turf winner at Keeneland going back to, I think, like 2008, a long time coming, and one of the longer prices we've seen at Keeneland over the last, decade. You don't get those kind of winners very often during a Keeneland meet, paying $113 to win. You think back, Breeders' Cup time, we had one in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint Order of Australia, paid a mint. And the most famous of all of Keeneland long shot winners was 70-1 on Nick's Go when he won the Breeders' Futurity. He turned out to be, a superstar horse. But at that time, when Nick's Go, when he was a 2-year-old, nobody expected him to pop with that 70-1 winner. Some other notes about today's card. Another nice performance by a Brad Cox horse at a mile and 16th. We talk about this over and over, but Film Star looked really good in one of the allowance features today. Horse who's probably moving up the stakes rank sometime soon for Cox. Another, embarrassment of riches for the barn. But when they go a mile and a 16th here at Keeneland, we've talked about it, 32% now winners for Brad Cox at that mile and a 16th. They hit the top of the stretch, they re-break, they only got to get to the 16th hole finish line, and it's lights out. So another nice win today for the Cox barn with Film Star. Wesley Ward was beaten with a 2-year-old today in the first race. He had 2 of them in the opener, and maybe the best bred of the Wesley Ward horses he's ever run here. He had a really nicely bred, I think, Curlin on a Lady Aurelia. I mean, just a fantastic pedigree. But Ward was beaten on the card today by a horse named You Almost Had Me for trainer John Hancock. We talk about Ward having by far the most 2-year-old wins at Keeneland over the years. John Hancock, a very distant second in that. He's kind of like, Sham in the Belmont Stakes, 30-plus lengths behind Secretariat. That's kind of the way the 2-year-old race has gone over the last decade or so with Wesley Ward and everybody else. But John Hancock had a win today. We will get another 2-year-old baby race on this card in race number 2 coming up on Thursday. So let's get to it. Weather forecast looks great for tomorrow. 85 degrees, very warm temperatures, mostly sunny skies. So we're going to have fast, firm conditions. Pretty much unless we have a big wind shift or something like that, the speed continues to play very strongly. you're not closing from very far out of it. So you got to kind of be in the mix if you want to win these races. I expect that to stay the same unless we have a massive wind shift where they're running into a big headwind down the backstretch. That will tend to favor horses who have more stamina, and the front runners get tired trying to carve out their fractions. But unless we see the flags completely shift to the right, I don't see any shift in the racing conditions that suggest that we shouldn't be looking for early speed on the main track. Again, $226,000 pick six carryover. That will start in race number 4. Let's look at the big picture for the Thursday card at Keeneland. Welcome everybody into the show tonight. We've got the pick 6 starting in race number 4 with that big carryover. Pick 5 on a 9-race card is going to start in the opener as well as race number 5. So race number 5 is going to be a key swing race between the opening pick 5 and the late pick 5. We get that overlap when we have these 9-race cards. Of course, race number 5 is also going to be part of the early pick 4, which goes as races 2, 3, 4, and 5. It'll be the second leg of the pick 6. So if you can come up with a good opinion in race number 5, you could do yourself pretty well. Late pick 4 starts in race number 6. Keeneland Turf pick 3, which just paid buckets today for the $3 wager. The Keeneland Turf pick 3 races 5, 7, and 9 on the Thursday card. So back half of the program, the green should be firm, and looking forward to that play. Huge payoff today in the Keeneland Turf pick 3. My key plays are going to come in races 3, 5, and I think in race number 7. So 5 and 7, 2 of the races of the Keeneland Turf pick 3 are races I've got fairly decent opinions of, and I'm going to try to knock out some winners there, hopefully, and that will set us up, hopefully, for the Keeneland Turf pick 3 to take a look at. Let's look at the Keeneland handicapper selection box as we start things up in race number 1. It was a tough day in the handicapping box for everybody today, but again, I'm taking my wounds this meet. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't run from the record. When the record's good, we talk about it. When the record's bad, we talk about it. So I didn't have a single winner in the 8-race card on Wednesday. So we've got to pick the pace up here and see if we can't get off to a better start. Dialer Up in the opener is even money morning line favorite. I don't like to take these kind, but I just think this horse stands out. Mike Stidham, Irad Ortiz teaming up with this one coming off the fairgrounds efforts. The only question is the pace style, right? Dialer Up is going to try to come from off the pace. You got to get into these races. Amount of 16th with a 16-pole finish line. If you're going to beat this horse, it's going to be with some speed. Maybe that's the 6, First Hill. First Hill may control the pace in this race, outside post position, but only a field of 6. If Chris Landeros is aggressive with the 6 and just goes out there, hell's bells, then maybe we can run them off their feet. If you're going to beat the 1, it's with the 6, I think, First Hill, just because of the stylistic change. Lady with the Cause, the 2, is picked by a couple of my handicapping partners in the box. Kenny McPeak picks this one, another one from off the pace from Oaklawn. My thought, though, is if you're going to take a horse from off the pace, I like the 1 Dialer Up better. And so anytime you're trying to beat a favorite, to me, and we've talked about this a few times on the shows, but if you're newer to the show, if you're going to try to beat a logical favorite, you do it with an opposite running style. Because if the favorite gets the right kind of trip, if the best horse gets the best trip, they typically win the race. So if you're going to try to come from behind and beat a come from behind horse, you better be better than them. And chances are you're not when it stacks up against a race favorite. So the way to beat them is the opposite running style, because the race didn't set up for them. Then it would set up for the opposite style. So in this particular case, with Dialer Up as a deep closer in race number 1, maybe not a deep closer, but 4 lengths off the pace down at Fairgrounds, got to be a little bit closer. Irad's going to have to use that rail to his advantage, stay within touch. The only other speed horse in this race really on paper is the 6 First Hill. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dialer Up is really hustled out of the gate and maybe even sits second. And if this horse sits second behind the lone speed, it should be ball game over. And I would think that Dialer Up will run down First Hill at that point. Let's go to the big board. Race number 2 on the card starts the pick 4. Pick 4 is 2-year-old maiden special to start things off. This is, of course, Wesley Ward territory. We know that. He won 3 of the first 4 of the meet, but he did get beat by John Hancock on the program today at Keeneland. If you're looking around, John Hancock's got the 10 in here. No Way Curl. Does anyone pick No Way Curl for back-to-back upsets from John Hancock? Not in race number 2. So this one's not taking the same kind of hype that we had with the Hancock winner earlier today, that being You Almost Had Me. That horse was really working strong in the morning, got the buzz, got bet pretty hard. That horse was 9-5 against the Ward 6-5 favorite. No such thing in here. Number 8 in here, American Rascal. This is the one that's the Curlin Lady Aurelia. I misspoke earlier. This is the one this week that's got the fantastic pedigree. American Rascal in here. Again, by Curlin, who had more winners last year at Keeneland than any other sire. Lady Aurelia was just a star for Wesley Ward. This is Stone Street homebred. Everything about it, the works in the morning point to a big effort. American Rascal, I think, is a very strong favorite. As you look across, everybody's picking American Rascal on top. And it's not just the Wesley Ward influence, but that certainly makes a big part of it. If you're looking underneath, I think Frosty the Giant's kind of an interesting horse in here. You know, jockey assignments at Keeneland always fascinate me because the best riders are here, but the horses come from everywhere. So it's not like the same jockey rides for the same barn, like say at Gulfstream, you know, Louis Size is going to ride a lot of Todd Pletcher horses throughout the entire meet. At Aqueduct, it's going to be Junior Alvarado riding a ton amount for Bill Mott. When you get to Keeneland, these guys are riding like it's kind of like a regional all-star game. Everybody's coming from everywhere. Anthony Ferrier from Charlestown and the Maryland circuit wins a tremendous percentage. If you follow any night racing or you follow the Mid-Atlantic during the day, Ferrier's horses are really strong. He shows up here with a first-time starter by Frosted named Frosty the Giant, and he gets Irad Ortiz Jr., Charlestown trainer, getting Irad Ortiz Jr. to ride in a maiden special at Keeneland for an $80,000 purse. I find that very interesting. Ferrier can win first out of the box. That's not necessarily his forte, but Frosted's had success with horses here, including the 2-year-old. So I wouldn't be surprised if Frosty the Giant runs pretty well, but it looks like it's Wesley Ward's race to lose with American Rascal, and I'll be surprised if he does. Not a lot of love here in races 1 and 2. Even money, 6-5 morning line choices. I do not like picking favorites like this. Part of the reason I'm getting my butt handed to me this meet is favorites are winning like 40% of the races and speeds winning. And I'm a handicapper who needs to like look at the race shape. Who does it set up for? If the speed's winning regardless of the race shape, I have a hard time because I'm going to try to bet a closer and go into that race shape. And also if favorites are winning a strong percentage, I usually do not default to the favorites. In fact, I just think we've got 2 solid standout favorites in the first 2 races on the card. So I'm not going to get too actively involved. I mean, you might go single to start the pick 5 and the pick 4 on the program. But as you'll see here, as we go back to the big picture, that pick 5 starts in the opener, pick 4 in the second. Race number 3 is going to be my first play that I'm really interested in because I'm not going to bet a lot of money in races 1 and 2, but I really like Camilo in this race at 7-2 in the morning line. And the fact if I lay off my bankroll in races 1 and 2, I've got enough to play a triple bet. You know, say you roughly bet about $10 race. I do not recommend ever that somebody bets the same amount on every single race, but everybody has kind of like a unit of measure that's about what they're comfortable betting on a race. If you're typically a $10 race better, $20 race better, if you don't play 1 and 2 today, then you've got 3 times the amount of money to play on the first horse you really like on the card. And that's the kind of discipline I want to try to impart in people. Even when I'm not handicapping well, I still want to play with the right fundamentals. I'm not going to go chase the even monies, the 6-5s in the first 2 races. I might use them in singles, try to hit the pick 4 and pick 5 and build out some value, but I'm certainly not playing those horses on the nose. And chances are we're not even going to get excited about the exactas or the tries in the first couple of races of the way those races shake out. So race number 3, the first horse I really like on the card is Camilo, the 8 horse, come out of a race at Gulfstream Park, showed good effort going a mile and an 1/8 in the career debut. Now cuts back to a mile, should be stone cold and fit. Augustin Stables, more than ready, really a great miler sire. So that mile and 1/8 was probably a little far in the debut, even with or without foundation for a more than ready. So cutting back to a mile should be great setup in here. And I think Camilo is the horse to beat. And I've got 3 times my bankroll because I'm not really playing races 1 and 2 with any intra-race money at all. Camilo top choice for me also for Tom Leach in here. And you know, only 2 top picks. A couple folks don't even use Camilo in the top 3. So that tells me that the 7-2 morning line price might hold okay. We might get that kind of price. 3-1, 7-2. I'd be perfectly happy betting this horse. And again, I've got 3 times the amount. So if I'm normally a $10 player, I'm betting $30 on the nose on Camilo in race number 3 because I've got the bankroll to do it. I had patience. I showed discipline in the first couple races, and now I can take advantage of a horse that I actually really like. Right Off Jerry, also one you want to consider in here. Top pick. Nobody's going with Right Off Jerry on top. Interesting here. A couple underneath plays for right off Jerry. Me and Tom see this race pretty similar with the 8-5. The other handicappers are in different spots. 3 Ocean City is Steve Asmussen trainee, top pick in here. Asmussen's horses have not run at this meet whatsoever. I mean, he's been absolutely ice cold. You do get Joel Rosario on this one coming out of the fairgrounds. Ocean City looks a little better on the dirt to me than the turf. I know the American Pharaohs have done okay on the grass. There's plenty of pedigree here. $600,000 Keeneland November sale, but Ocean City, for me, I got to see more out of the Asmussen barn before we're going to take too short of a price. 6-1 in the morning line. Can't argue with that if you get 6-1, but this horse gets bet down a little bit lower, as seeing Scott's got him on top, and Kim Nelson has him on top. If Ocean City gets bet down below that 6-1 number, I'm not so sure that that's great wagering value. So keep an eye on the price and always be price sensitive no matter what you're betting. Let's go to the 4th race next up. Big picture. This starts the pick 6, $226,000 in the carryover. Look, carryovers are great because there's added money in. You're going to get paid more if you win than if it would have been just some regular day with the money that's in the tote. The $226,000 that's left over from the last 2 days is going to get paid out to the winners in this race. So let's say the pick 6 normally would have paid $8,000. It might pay $9,500 because of the carryover money that's in there. So it's always an advantage to jump into a carryover, whether it's a pick 4. You're never going to see really a pick 4 carryover, but we do see some pick 5 carryovers from time to time, and certainly the pick 6. Carryovers are a great time to jump in because you get more bang for your buck, helps offset the high takeouts and things like that go along with some of the multi-race wagers. So you want to get excited about a carryover, but they're difficult to hit. I mean, we know this, right? Pick 6s are not going to be easy to hit. The way I'm going right now, I haven't had 6 winners in the last Sunday, Wednesday. In the last 2 days. Saturday I had 5. So I've had exactly 6 winners, honestly, in the last 3 cards, right? 5 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and nothing today. So hitting 6 on one card is extremely difficult. We're talking just top choices, of course, with only hitting 6 winners for me the last 3 days. But to me, that's where I keep my stats and try to keep my focus is on picking the winner of a race. But you're going to use more than one horse in a pick 6 leg along the way several times. So it's not apples to apples, but I'm just telling you, it's hard to pick one right now for me. So picking 6 tomorrow could be difficult, but let's try to see what we can come up with in this pick 6 sequence. See if we've got some good opinions and where they might mesh with our partners here. So race number 4, again, is going to start the pick 6. It's also going to start the pick 6, and then we'll get into the pick 5 and the Keeneland Turf pick 3 next race. So race number 4, let's get right to it. Jeeper and Haku are the 2 horses picked on the left side of the page. Jeeper for Scott and myself, Haku for Tom and Gabby. Kim Nelson's using Harold's Cloud, the horse I have second in here. So this is really a 9, 6, and 7 as you look across the way. If you're starting the pick 6, probably don't need to get much deeper than that. Otherwise, we're going to get ourselves into a situation where you're using a lot of runners. But 9, 6, 7 kind of have the standout play here. None of us are using the 5 Ministerial on top, though. That's a Wesley Ward, really well-bred Uncle Mo Kauai Katie gelding that just hasn't panned out. But we're going against Ward in here. Jeeper, the 9, to me, has the best maiden win in the field. That Fairgrounds maiden special is better than anybody else's maiden victory in this race, and it's a non-winners at 2 lifetime. To me, that's a good handicapping angle, whether you're playing Keeneland, an elite track, or you're playing a local regional track that you love to bet. In a non-winners at 2 lifetime, that means all the horses have 1 win. Some are maidens in those races, but rarely. But most of the time, you're going to see horses with 1 career victory. Who won the best race out of the one that's on your docket, And so for me, that's a good handicapping angle no matter what track you're playing. Find me a horse who won a good maiden special weight race against a race where a bunch of horses won like for maiden 15, and I'll take the maiden special even if that race was buried 6, 7, 8 starts back. That horse has shown the ability to beat better, and that's kind of the way that I lean. So Jeeper in this race does have the maiden special weight winner, Open Company at Fairgrounds. To me, that's the best race on the paper. That's why I've got Jeeper on top. The 6 Harold's Cloud is a horse who's run well here over the track at Keeneland, debuted in that $150,000 level, which is essentially a maiden special almost. Got beat a nose here. Comes off the claim. Jason Barkley takes this one off Mike Stidham. We'll see. It hasn't been a great great year for Barkley in 2023, but he makes an equipment change, taking the blinkers off. But Harold's Cloud getting back on the track here at Keeneland, I think makes interesting. Any horse for course angles that you have here at Keeneland, I think need to be used. And the 7 Haku makes a little bit of a drop in class, I think, here. Those races, those optional claimers down at Gulfstream on the turf are probably pretty good races comparatively to a 30,000 on the dirt here at Keeneland. So I think the 7 Haku makes a lot of sense. Kelsey Danner gets Irad Ortiz to ride. That's a good situation there. I think you're three deep to start to pick 4 or to start the pick 6. I would use the 9, the 6, and the 7. 9, my top pick in here, and I feel decent about the 9 in here. Jeeper, I think this is a horse who's when he runs well, going around 2 turns, he's generally kind of up into the race, second or third. When he drops farther out of it, he's usually in trouble. And the way this track is playing, you don't want to be too far out of it. Harold's Cloud's probably the best speed horse of the ones I like on paper. Haku won't be too far out of it, I don't think. And I think if Jeeper can be sitting third under CJ Hernandez down the backstretch, third or fourth, then you've got a shot. If you're 7th or 8th down the backstretch, these kind of horses just aren't winning here so far at the meet. So that's why I think you want to use all 3, and that gives you some pace versatility as well. Harold's Cloud, Haku should have the early jump. Jeeper should be the one, I think, making the move on the turn with a chance to take it. 5th race up next, and we are going to look at one of our key plays of the day. It's the start of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It also kicks off the Pick 5. It's a swing race in the Pick 5, ends the early Pick 5. Now, you guys know I like these 3, 4, and 5 power posts when we're talking about turf sprints with full fields of 12. These races put out a better percentage winner by far than they should at big prices. We had a 6-1 power post winner on the card. I believe it was Sunday at Keeneland. So we're back at it here. The horses in the 3, 4, 5 holes are Morning Boss 30-1 in the morning line, the 4 Stella Teresa at 20-1 in the morning line, and the 5 Hideki at 6-1. Obviously, Hideki's the strongest of the group. 7 for 11 in the money or in the exacta lifetime. I think Hideki's got to be respected. The Turfway form has been good at this meet, better on turf than we would expect. We've seen a really much improved performance by the Turfway horses on the grass at this spring meet than we have in the past. Typically, they've done most of their hay on the dirt. So I think you want to use Hideki. Stella Teresa is going to be my upset top pick in here. And I think this horse has a chance to blow up the tote board at a price. A lot of speed. First time off the layoff. Hasn't run since the Indiana Grand back in October, but I like layoff horses in turf sprints. This horse is consistently in front in 44 and change. I think she's going to absolutely speed pop this field being fresh. Hasn't run in a while. Look, the barn's 0 for 16 on the year, so you're going to have to demand a big price. I think we'll get it. Look, we're on the island. Nobody else has number 4 Stella Teresa anywhere. This is the one in the power post that I think is the most interesting gamble in here. I'm definitely using the 4 Stella Teresa. We're just going to try to wire the field. I don't think there's much speed with the 1 or the 2. The 3's got a little bit of pace, but I don't think nearly as fast as this horse. That's 46 speed. This is 44. I think Stella Teresa is going to break on top, get to the hedge, and be the one to catch turning for home. At a big price, I'll take that enough to give me a shot with the power post and the speed, and I don't have to worry about any variables. If she's good enough, Declan Cannon will just be holding on, and maybe she can get him to the wire on top. Hideki, the 5, is somebody I want to use as well as from a great post. And then the other horses I like in here, the 9 Peach Cobbler and the 11 Daring Do. Now, Daring Do is going to be a horse that's, well respected for Wesley Ward. Top pick in here for Kim Nelson. Top pick for Scott Hazelton. Daring Do's a 3-year-old taking on older horses. At this time of year, that's a risk, Daring Do's form is good. She's won 1 of 2 starts. She's by Into Mischief. There's a lot to like about her, but I think she's going to be an underlay price as a 3-year-old taking on older horses. We saw a good Kenny McPeak allowance horse today, 3-year-old against Elders, really didn't do much at all. It can happen. Probably if it's going to happen, 5.5 on the turf is where maybe a 3-year-old filly would just be brilliant enough to beat the field. But while she has shown speed, I don't think she's as fast as Stella Teresa. So I think Stella Teresa is going to be in front of Daring Do, even with that outside post, and maybe the 11 leaning on the 4 a little bit, maybe when they turn for home. But I'm going to take my shot with the 4 at a much better price because Daring Do, to me, is going to be a big underlay as the 3-year-old taking on Elders. We know Wesley Ward wins more turf sprints than anybody else at Keeneland. He's had a great meet already with some turf sprint wins. But I'm going to try to beat Daring Do in here as far as my top picks. If you're going in the pick 6, I think this is a race where you want to spread. 4, 9, 1, 11, and 5. There are 5 deep in here that I think you can use in the early pick 5, the late pick 5. This is a swing race. I wish I had a stronger opinion as far as where we can just lock down a horse, but I do think we've got power plus prices here that makes it a key play intra race. I'm not going to single Stella Teresa and have the whole pick 5, pick 6 wrapped around some 30-1 morning line shot. I get it when you're playing multi-race wagers that you want to go deep in here, but within the race, boy, I really like the shot with the 4 in here at a price. I think the 5 Hideki is trustworthy to be somewhere in the mix with Luis Saez aboard. So post 4 and 5, part of those power posts, I'm very interested in those two at prices. Let's move on now to race number 6 as we start the late pick 4. Starter allowance company here going 6.5 furlongs. And the late pick 4 starter looks like a single for a lot of handicappers. Devil's Tower, the 4, picked on top by 4 of 5 of us. Tom Leach has Nifty on top. He's on the island with Nifty. Devil's Tower, his second choice. So why is Devil's Tower such a big favorite? 7-5 in the morning line. Well, 1 race at Keeneland, 1 victory. You know, Devil's Tower likes the track. This 5-year-old has 10 wins and 21 lifetime starts. You know, he likes any track. And the Chris Hartman trainee's coming off of 3 straight wins at Oaklawn in the starter allowance company after running for $30,000 once. This horse just fits the conditions beautifully of this $30,000 starter allowance. Dropped in once for that tag, won that race, won 2 straight starters after that. Fits like a glove in here. Has some pace versatility. 1 wire-to-wire going 6 at Oaklawn. 1 from a couple lengths off the pace and 1 pressing the pace. So 3 wins in 3 different styles. There's really not a chink in the armor for Devil's Tower as you look at this race. Blue Kentucky, the other one to give some consideration to because I think this horse loves it at Keeneland. 2 career starts, has a win and a good second-place finish. This horse likes the track. Matt Sims has not had a big year, only 1 for 32. But again, when we start talking about these jockey assignments, when you get Joel Rosario riding for Matt Sims, you say, look, this is pretty live. You know, when a barn that's 1 for 32 on the year can go out and get Joel Rosario, one of the top 4 or 5 jockeys in America, it's a good sign. So I give Blue Kentucky a shot in here for the exotics. The 6, Hooper Drives the Boat, or I should say the 8, Tilted Towers. The other one I've got in my top 3 should have early speed in there. Brittany Vandenberg sends that one out. Pace play there, certainly, if speed just continues to dominate. I think the 8, Tilted Towers, is the fastest of the bunch in this race at the beginning, but at 6.5 furlongs, I just think the speed and class of Devil's Tower will overcome. So while we're going deep and we've got some long shots in the 5th, race number 6 just kind of looks like a putt to me, you know. Putt from about 2 feet, tap it in, get Devil's Tower home to start the late pick 4, and then your multi-race wagers will be heavily singled in the pick 6. If you're going to get a 3-day pick 6 carryover, maybe Devil's Tower getting beat would be the kind of thing that could create something like that. Let's go next to race number 7 and back to the big board. This is one of my 3 key plays of the day and race number 7. It's going to be second leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. 9 race cards. So the final 3 on the program include 2 turf races, including this 3rd level allowance, mile and a 16th. We don't get a lot of 3rd level allowance races here in the spring meet at Keeneland, but I think we're getting a great pace set up for Good Governance in here, and that's going to be my top choice. Good Governance should have a lot of speed to chase. I don't mind a closer on the turf this meet for sure, but of course on the main track, it's where the speed has been dominating. I think this race is going to go fast early, and Good Governance has the best late kick to me in this field. A lot of folks got this runner second, second pick for Kim, second pick for Gabby, second pick for Tom. I'm the only one that's got Good Governance on top. So hopefully we can get a little bit better price than that 7-2 morning line. I'd certainly like that. Class dropper coming out of the Fort Lauderdale, the Pegasus World Cup turf, and the Canadian turf, taking on good runners in those. Let's face the likes of Ivar, Steady On, Emmanuel, Tone, et al. I think Good Governance will appreciate the slight drop in class here and be very effective. First time over the course here at Keeneland. But, boy, you got to love the international pedigree here by Kingman out of a Royal Applause mare. A lot for trainer Anna Mia to work with. Then this former Chad Brown trainee is going to need it fast on the front end. But I think we get that because Dominican Power in here with Wesley Ward, I think, is speed on the rail. Capuno, the 2, is dirt speed in the 2-hole. And the 4, Tiberius Mercurius, is absolutely speed, almost on top every call in recent starts. So you've got inside speed in here with the 1, the 2, and the 4. If there's any other speed to come in this race, maybe maybe Commandeer out of the 8-hole. Out on the outside, you've got Fenwick Station, who has pressed the pace on occasion. Two Birds from the far outside post, the 12-hole, almost has to go under Adam Beschizza to try to save any ground at all, and that horse has had good speed. So again, I think this race is really fast. I think it's a pace play, and I think Good Governance gets the setup. The classiest horse with the best late kick and gets the race shape. I'm all in for Good Governance in race number 7. And, this is a situation here where you got a big field. I don't think we're going to be looking at a horse who's 2-1 or 9-5 or anything like that. Good Governance is 7-2 in the morning line. I think we'll hold somewhere right around that price, 3-1, 7-2, 9-2. Key on top in the tries. You've got some good options underneath. The 5, the 1, the 11, the 4, all horses that I want to use underneath. So I'm looking at try Key 7 over the 5, 1, 11, 4. And you also might want to try to get some big bingo in there and go 7 with 5, 1, 11, 4 with the 50-cent trifectas. It doesn't cost that much to make a play like that and wheel them all in the third spot. I just think this race is going to be very fast early. It's going to be chaotic for who's left. But I think the closer in here to beat is Good Governance under Rafael Bejarano. And I'm singling that runner if you're talking about multi-race wagers. Pick 4, pick 5, pick 6. I'm really all in race number 7. And for the Keeneland Turf pick 3, give me Good Governance in there. We had to stretch a little bit. We thought there were several horses you could use in the Turf Sprint earlier. I think this is one where if we can get Good Governance in at a modest price, even if favored, 7-2 favored or 3-1 favored, I would be fine with that. This is a race people are going to use multiple horses, and I like that we would be singling in that situation. Speaking of singles, the allowance feature, race number 8 up next. This is what I put on my past performances. Tough race. Don't really like any of them. This is a situation where I don't really want to settle for every horse in this race that I like a little bit. I don't like something about them. Vittorio is the favorite in here at 6-5 in the morning line and picked by everybody. This Bilmont trainee's coming off a 4th place finish in the Essex Stakes. So why am I not taking Vittorio when everybody else is? The Oaklawn Handicap is on Saturday. It's a huge purse. It's a graded stakes. It's $1 million race. And Vittorio is running for $120,000 here at Keeneland after running 4th beaten 3 lengths in the Essex Stakes. The Essex was the prep for the Oaklawn Handicap. The winner of that race, Last Samurai, the runner-up, Classic Causeway, they're both coming back. Vittorio wasn't beaten far by those. Why are you not running for the big money? I don't like the admission that we want to come and run against easier competition. So the intent here is kind of what bothers me a little bit. That, maybe they're just trying to get a win out of this horse who's had a lot of nibbles and just missing, but that's a lot of money to walk away from at Oaklawn to come here for a confidence booster, if you want to call it that, out of the stakes ranks back into the allowance company. So I'm going to take a shot against Vittorio in here. That's why I don't like the 6-5 favorite as a standout. Then you look at the others in here. Creative Minister is a horse who was 3rd in the Preakness last year, but has a win at Keeneland in the slop. But then the return race, I expected more in the fall in this horse when he was 9-5 in allowance company in October, and he ran terrible. So on a fast track at Keeneland, does Creative Minister get over the ground that well? Or was there something else in that race? We didn't see him again until March, and maybe something happened in the running of that race for Creative Minister because he was kind of making a middle move and then everything fell apart. So the one thing I worry about Creative Minister is he really a horse for course who likes Keeneland or not? I'm going to give him that shot because I think the price will be right. I don't think we're going to get 15-1 in the morning line. Creative Minister's second pick here for Tom Leach on the board for Gabby and Kim. So I could see Creative Minister being like the 3rd, 4th wagering choice in this race, which probably in an 8-horse field sets you somewhere closer to 5-6-1. So I think we'll get 5 or 6-1 on Creative Minister. I'm not wild about the gamble there at that price. If it's 15-1 like the morning line, I'm absolutely interested. I just don't quite think that's going to be the case. A long shot in here to give a look to is the 3 Coastal Defense. Now, if I was going to gamble on a horse in this race just strictly to get some intra-race action at a big price, 30-1 on the 7-year-old son of Curlin for Dale Romans is a little bit interesting to me because the resume goes back to the 2020 Fayette Stakes here at Keeneland when running a good 4th. We know this horse liked the track at one point when beaten by stablemate Mr. Freeze just by a length and a half back in the Fayette in October of 2020. The resume has been very sketchy since then, long layoffs, but you like the Curlins, you like the 1 1/8 trip. Only one race this year was a 7-furlong sprint at Gulfstream, which is obviously a throwaway race for a horse with this pedigree and the distance that this horse had typically been running. So Coastal Defense, second off the layoff, sprint the route. Those are both form cycle angles that I like. And Dale Roma's not afraid to take a shot in here. This horse probably goes towards the front. Coastal Defense under James Graham could be in here at 30-1. I think this is a race where a lot of people are singing Vittorio, but I think you want to use a few more. And I'm going to use the 7 Creative Minister and the 3 Coastal Defense along with Vittorio as far as the pick 4, pick 5, and if you're playing the pick 6. I would use all 3 of those runners here in race number 8. And again, if you get that big of a price, if Coastal Defense is sitting there at 30-1 on the tote board, that's worth a few bucks. That's worth a few bucks there. I think that's a long shot that we can use. And certainly underneath in the exactas, right? 7-3, 1-3, something like that. If you can get that 30-1 in there underneath, that can make your day. Let's go to the 9th and final race on the card as we wrap up the action at Keeneland. It will conclude the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. As we said, we've got a single in race number 7. We want to use multiple runners in race number 5. And when we get to the 9th race here, I think multiple runners are probably the way you want to go again. Let's see what the public handicappers here have in race number 9. Both Gabby and I are on Royal Sandrin in here, the 6 horse who's 8-1 in the morning line, coming off the poly at Turfway and going to the turf. Historically, that hasn't been a good move. This meet, it has been. It's the best Turfway meet we've seen over the winter spring in a decade or more, and those horses are paying off on the turf when they land here. Balthazar, the 9 gets some love across the way. Mr. Neots, the 4, Forge and Fire. I've got the 10 and the 8 in my mix, so you can see there are a lot of horses in this race that are under consideration by the public handicappers. Royal Sandra, for me, had no shot last time behind a half mile and 50, 6 furlongs and 114 and 2. That is not a closer setup, even on the poly track, and still ran a good second, beating a neck that day. Adds the blinkers. Rudolph Brisset's horses got off to a good start at the meet. He hasn't had many follow-up efforts since opening weekend. Pratt riding well, notwithstanding the incident today when he dropped Gaffleone and was disqualified. He did have 2 wins on the card otherwise. I think you're going to see Mr. Pratt have himself a suspension for that ride today. Probably won't come anytime till he'll accept it probably after the Triple Crown, the way these things tend to work out. But he will get days for that. But again, Flavian Pratt riding Royal Sandrin in here. That's my top pick. I think you want to use the 10, and here's Cyber Ninja. Well, for Bill Mott coming out a really good race. It was on the dirt, but this Arrowgate colt faced Empire Strikes Fast and Dreamlike. Dreamlike, of course, came back and was in the photo finish in the Wood Memorial. So comes out of a good race. 6, 10, 8, 7, and 9. I've got 5 deep that I think you could use and consider here in the finale. So we've got to get that single home with good governance. In race number 6, I don't think that I would use Blue Kentucky. I think I would stick with the single in that particular race. So we've got singles in the 6 and 7s. You're going to be able to spread your wings a little bit with some budget. And according to the public handicappers and my notes, this is a race number 9, where you do want to get some coverage. So that's going to wrap up our Keeneland look ahead for the Thursday card. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope we picked some more winners tonight. Hopefully the strategies are helping you on how to budget, how to attack a card, and put the most money that you have in your budget on your opinions that matter most. That's the best thing we can tell you, because even if it's been a bad meet, and it has for me so far, it only takes one when you're talking about weighting your wagers, right? If we really get a wager we love today, we get one of these 30-1s to pop in the turf sprint in race number 5, that sort of thing. Big trifecta play in some of those races. That's what you need. You need a couple of those to make up for a lot of the smaller losers, and hopefully we can mop it up with that here over the final, 6, 7, 8 days of the meet. Day 9 coming up here on Thursday. Want to let you know that Friday's card includes the Double Dog Dare Stakes, featuring Interstate Daydream, third in last year's Ashland, winner of the Black-Eyed Susan. That's the headliner for the Friday card, the Double Dog Dare Stakes. And then they drew the field for the Elkhorn, where we've got Channel Maker, past champion turf horse and past winner of the Elkhorn, back to defend his title for the Turf Marathon set on Saturday for trainer Bill Mott. So Channel Maker's back on Saturday. And then the Ben Ally Stakes for the older handicap division. We were hoping to get Rich Strike, the Kentucky Derby winner, in that race. He was nominated. He was leaning that way, but hasn't made it for the race, so he was not in the entries drawn today for Saturday. But the Ben Ally will be the co-feature on Saturday's program. I believe who's in that race here? real quick here, give you the rundown if you haven't seen the entries for that one yet. The Ben Ally on Saturday, race number 9. So it's Pioneer of Medina, the winner of the Mine Shaft down at Fairgrounds for Todd Pletcher. Trademarks going in there for Vicky Oliver. She won the Commonwealth Turf at Churchill last fall. You got Call Me Fast in there coming out of that Essex Stakes at Oaklawn. Well beaten there. Skippy Longstocking, a horse who won the Harlan's Holiday and the Challenger Stakes down in Florida, coming north for Safi Joseph Jr. And who else do we got in that race? We've got Rattle and Roll, horse who won Grade 1 Company here as a 2-year-old, the Breeders' Futurity back in 2021 for Kenny McPeak. Neil Pessin will send out Happy American, a horse who won the Grade 3 Louisiana Stakes down at Fairgrounds this winter. And Tawny Port, that was the one I was trying to pull off the top of my head. Lexington winner last year. I was going to say Owendale, but I knew it wasn't Owendale still in training. Tawny Port, winner of last year's Lexington, back for Brad Cox running in the Ben Ally Stakes with Flavian Pratt on Saturday. So those entries were drawn today. Little news for you here as we wrap up the program. Big story for tomorrow, though, $226,000 carryover in the Pick 6, $1 minimum, not jackpot. Standard Pick 6 at Keeneland. It will begin in race number 4. Hopefully we take Pick 1s all the way to Pick 6s on that Thursday card. Have a great night, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow to preview the Friday card that features the Double Dog Dare Stakes. Good luck.